A CNN panel melts down into hysterics yesterday after a guest points out the truth about J6, that the only person who lost their life that day was Ashley Babbitt, an unarmed U.S. Air Force veteran who was gunned down by a trigger-happy Capitol Police officer, a man who, by the way, was never held accountable. In fact, the guy who did that was promoted by the Biden administration. These are the facts that you can't say on CNN, apparently. They lost their ever-loving minds yesterday when David Urban tried to bring a dose of reality to their audience, explaining calmly that J6 wasn't a coup or coup d'etat or an insurrection, but simply a rally that turned into a protest, that turned into a riot. Wait till you see this. It's like CNN can't let the words be said out loud. It's very strange, as if the words are spoken, their worldview shatters or something like that. We have the full clip, but before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So it's been 4 years since the J6 riots, and as each year passes, it becomes even clearer that what happened on that day wasn't an insurrection or a coup or coup d'etat. It was a rally of ordinary, patriotic Americans who were there to protest the election, their constitutional right as Americans. And for whatever reason, it turned into a riot. Why did it turn into a riot? Who instigated it? Did the 26 FBI informants have anything to do with it? We don't know. But they were there. They were in the crowd. Many of them entered the Capitol, something CNN and legacy media called you a conspiracy theorist for years if you mentioned. Then last month we learned it was true. The FBI did have 26 confidential informants at the Capitol, yet none of them were ever charged. Did they coax people inside? We don't know. Soon we will know. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a lot more information once Kash is sworn in as FBI director. But for now, what we know as fact right now today is that establishment Washington wants us to believe, for whatever reason, that this was an awful stain on American history, that it was up there just as bad as 9/11 and child slavery. We played a clip yesterday of Sunny Hostin comparing J6 to child slavery. What? If you didn't see that, watch.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget, because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Yet the only person who lost their life on J6 was a protester, a woman named Ashley Babbitt. She was unarmed. She was a U.S. Air Force vet who was gunned down by a trigger-happy Capitol Police officer. The man who did that never faced any consequences. Just 3 months later, Joe Biden's DOJ closed the investigation into her death, saying they will not be pursuing criminal charges against the Capitol Police officer who executed her. That man still has a job. In fact, he was promoted to captain by the Biden administration. Think about that for a minute. What if that was your daughter or your sister or your family member or friend who went to the Capitol to see her president speak? She went unarmed, a vet, and never came home because this cop claims he was scared of a woman half his size. It's disturbing. This is the story you'll never hear on mainstream media. For whatever strange reason, they're clinging to this insurrection narrative, refusing to let it go, possibly because it lets them play victim, maybe, to have a hook to go after Donald Trump with, a way to paint MAGA as dangerous. They've spent 4 years, tens of millions of dollars trying to gaslight us into thinking that a group of powerless, unorganized, working-class Americans posed a threat to the federal government. They think we're that stupid that we'd believe the nuclear-powered federal government was at risk of being overthrown by this guy, by Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman. Yes, this guy was seconds away from strolling into the Oval Office and taking command of the U.S. military. That's honestly what they're still telling their audiences. Watch what happened on CNN yesterday when conservative pundit David Urban tried to tell the truth about J6, just point out the fact that the only person who lost their life that day was a Trump supporter, Ashley Babbitt. And they lose their freaking minds. Roll the tape.
What?
Let's
Okay,
just say
David,
that all those people weren't violent protesters.
I'm going to let you make your point, but I want to pull that video back up that we were just showing. Because I want you to make your point, because I think a lot of people share your perspective.
Yeah, those people should go to jail, right?
What we were just showing with the barricades and the officers. Those were not officers just letting them.
No, go to the Supreme Court side.
Yeah, I know the video
right?
you're talking about.
No, this is these people should go to jail. The people on the Supreme Court side, however,
they were trespassing.
They were
trespassing.
Okay, listen,
they still broke the law.
There's a difference between trespassing and physical
I know,
violence.
but don't you think they should?
Some of these
Shouldn't they make an example out of these people though? Like this was wrong. They shouldn't be allowed to trespass.
Everybody should not be treated equally. They were violent criminals, right? They shouldn't be treated equally. There are people. These people who are beating the police should go to jail. There's no excuse for it, right? There's no excuse for it. Some of the people on the other,
do you think then those people should get pardons? Should those people
that beat
get
the police?
pardons?
No, shouldn't
the
be
people
pardoned.
that Donald Trump is promising to pardon?
He didn't promise to pardon everybody. He said he's going to promise. He's going to look at it case by case basis. Let's just be factual. Those are the words, right? And to be factual, the only person that died on January 6th, there was one person that died. Ashley Babbitt was the only person who was died.
And she was there because Donald Trump
wait,
Wait a minute. If you're arguing because he didn't die on the 6th, then he passed away on the 7th.
We're talking about who died on January 6th.
That is beyond splitting hairs.
It's not splitting hairs.
Come on.
It's factual.
You don't
There's one person that died.
Why else was she there? She wouldn't have been there that day if Donald Trump didn't spread conspiracy theories about an election that he knew was not stolen.
Again,
and he told those people to go to the Capitol. And so she was there as a result of him telling her to be there. She would not have died if it were for Donald Trump to accept the results of the election. She would have died if the police officer didn't wrongfully shoot her.
I wish January 6th, I wish the January 6th committee would have done a full investigation for the American people to see and hear. Watch this, and again, don't listen to David Urban, American people. Hold on. Don't listen to American people. Go to the video. It's all New York Times put this out. It's all over YouTube.
Can I ask you,
watch what happened to Ashley Babbitt.
Looking at this.
And something else that they fail to ever talk about on these panels is the J6 pipe boxer, right? You never hear about this. How in the world has the FBI not caught the person who planted multiple pipe boxes outside the DNC and RNC headquarters? Just feet, by the way, from the future vice president. How is it possible this is the only person who the FBI hasn't caught or arrested, who strolled through the most surveilled city on the planet with a bag full of these pipe boxes? Kamala Harris apparently walked just feet next to one of these boxes. The FBI claiming for years that they couldn't find this person, even though this person was on his or her cell phone more than half the time. Yet the FBI has had no interest at all in locating this individual. You can also see this person was caught waving, giving a quick casual wave to the passing Capitol Police vehicle. Did you see that? While carrying a bag full of these pipe boxes. You don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't got to be Elon Musk to realize something about this doesn't smell right. And the Republicans in Congress now have a bombshell of a report just out. We reported on this the other day, finding something very interesting after the FBI's #1 response to the Republican committee investigating this for the last few years. Their #1 response was that the cell phone data was corrupted, that the FBI, the best law enforcement agency on the planet, they have some of the most amazing technology, including very advanced triangulation sensors where they can track a suspect down between cameras, satellite, and cell phone data. They can find almost anyone. If you're on the phone and you're caught on camera at the same time, they can catch you. They'll know who you are. If you're in the middle of Times Square in the middle of the day, it'll be much harder to prove who you are because there's thousands of other people next to you who are also on the phone. But in this case, there were very few people on the street that day. Early morning. Bottom line, the FBI 100% should be able to learn who this person is, except they're claiming that the cell phone carrier's data that they got was corrupted. Corrupted, they claim. Well, in this new bombshell report, the Republicans subpoenaed the cell phone carriers, and the cell phone carriers told them that's not true. The data they provided to the FBI was not corrupted. What? So what's up here then? And like clockwork, just 2 weeks before Trump is about to get sworn into office and Kash Patel's coming into town as new FBI director and Pam Bondi as new attorney general, all of a sudden they come out and release this brand new video of this pipe boxer. You can't make this up. After 4 years claiming they have no leads, no new information, they somehow come up with this completely new angle on this person. And to top it off, to make matters even worse, when you really look at the new video footage, Mike Benz, for example, did a deep dive on this footage, says he believes the FBI blurred the suspect's eyes. Look at this, saying in 2021, I spent literally hundreds of hours on the J6 pipe boxer. One thing I never published until now still bothers me to this day. I believe the FBI, in addition to nuking the frame rate on the DNC security camera, blurred the eyes so no one could ID based on biometrics. The frame rate on these cameras appears to be lowered purposely and the eyes blurred. Amused, saying it really seems as though the FBI is engaged in a cover-up. Will Kash Patel tell us the truth if he does learn that the pipe boxer was in fact a federal asset? Right now, there's no hard evidence of that. This person went through extraordinary lengths to not be identified, but the FBI does admit that they should have this person's identity in these cell phone records. But whoops, the data's been corrupted. 2 more weeks, folks. 2 more weeks till Judgment Day. How do you think CNN's going to handle it when they're forced to confront the facts? All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe. We'll see you next time.